Hi, my name is Cecily Owens, and this is my self-improvement presentation. Quote, "The truth is to love yourself with the same intensity you would use to pull yourself up if you were hanging off a cliff with your fingers, as if your life depended on it." End quote. This is a quote by Ravikant from the book Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. This book talks about hitting rock bottom and how you can pull yourself out using self-love. It talks about two different concepts that we use this semester, which is self-concept and self-esteem, because without either, you can't really love yourself the way that you should. So today I'm going to start to discuss the steps to learn to love yourself. I'm going to discuss the mental loop, the meditation, and then I'm going to talk about letting go of the past and things that you hold against yourself. And then I'm also going to talk about my personal experience with the book and applying it to my life. So to start off with the mental loop, he goes on to say that we're not really thinking all the time, we're just constantly reliving old memories, and we have constant loops going on in our head of the same things. There's loops for everything. He says, quote, "We're running familiar patterns and loops in our head. For happiness, for procrastination, for sadness, fears, hopes, dreams, desires. We have loops for everything." End quote. And basically saying our brain is constantly reliving old memories and our brain is always moving. And this goes to his concept for repeat for power. It says if you say something once, it's not really going to have much of an impact on your life, but the more you say something, the more it's going to constantly impact who you are. So when we relive these old memories all the time and different things such as fears, hopes, dreams, it's constantly being ingrained to us and making us who we are. And with this concept, he says that every morning when he first set out on this journey and made the vow that he was going to love himself, he would say, "I love myself, I love myself, I love myself." And he made it his truth because it was very important that he said it all the time, because then he'd start to believe it. So now that we kind of have the concept of the mental loop, we can meditate with it. So for meditation, quote, "Even if you don't do anything else, please do this. It will make a difference," end quote. That's what he said, so I felt like I had to include this one. So to start off with meditation, you want to prep. You want to pick a relaxing song and some music that you like. His was 7 minutes long. And then you want to find a relaxing location. He said he would go outside often. I live in Ohio and it's currently like 30 degrees right now, so I would meditate in my room. And then you want to let the light into your dark room, he said, through your windows. So for example, he would say that if you're in a dark room and your windows are all dirty, it's going to be hard to see, so you have to clean your windows. This took me a while to kind of understand what he was saying, but I chalked it all up to saying that if you're having negative thoughts, you need to start letting positive thoughts in, or else it's just going to get darker and darker and darker. So after you've done that, you just want to relax, let the light in, and then you want to inhale and say that you love yourself, and then exhale and just let your body kind of respond to that. And whether you need to sit with that or whether you need to think about something else, just let your body react how it naturally would. So now that we have learned about meditating, we can start to let go of what we're holding on to. So the first thing you need to do is remember what you're holding on to and ask yourself, why am I holding on to this? Why am I mad about this? Why am I holding a grudge against myself? And then you need to write it down. According to this study done at the University of Rochester Medical Center, writing things down improves your mental health. And I got this from an article called Journaling for Mental Health. And so when you write down everything that you're holding against yourself, it really is going to improve how you think about yourself. Especially at the end of the paper, it's very important to write, "I forgive myself," because then you're letting go of everything that you're holding against yourself. And then you need to destroy it and let go of it. So he suggested to read it out loud. You can scream it, you can whisper it in your room. It doesn't matter, but just putting that stuff out in the air and then crumbling up that paper, lighting it on fire, flushing it down the toilet, even just throwing it away, just destroy it and get it out, because when you write that down, you're releasing those thoughts onto the paper. And then when you destroy that paper, in a way, it's a very symbolic way of destroying those thoughts. So those are a few of my favorite concepts from the book that I found very useful and I thought would be the best for sharing. So now I'm going to share what I actively used this past month. So to start off, I did use the mental loop. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being least effective, 10 being most, I would say it was probably a 6. I only said it in the morning. My brain is very scattered brain. I have a hard time focusing. And that is not the first thing I think of to say to myself when something's going on in my life. So I think if I would have been more consistent, I definitely would have had better results. And I think if you yourself wanted to try it and you were more consistent, you would have better results as well. And then the next thing I did was meditation. I would rate this like an 8 or a 9. I loved doing this meditation. Mine was 5 minutes long, the song that I picked, and I have been doing it every single day for a month, and I have loved it. He was not kidding when he said this is the number one thing you have to do. I loved meditating. It was so good for my mental health, and anytime I was worried or anxious about something, I would just do it, and it was amazing. And the last thing I did was I asked myself this question, and you're probably like, what question is this? You have not talked about this question. So it says, quote, if I love myself truly and deeply, would I let myself experience this, end quote. It's very simple, but it's a very hard question to follow because there's things that I wanted to do that I knew I probably shouldn't have, and I would say no to it when I'd ask that question, but I'd do it anyways. For effectiveness level, I would say like a 6 or a 7. I definitely didn't say no to myself as much as I should have, and that is one thing that I wish I would have tried harder on in this whole application process, and it is definitely something that I wish I would have been a little bit more successful in, because I think that's a great question for anybody to ask at any time. And it was one of my favorite quotes throughout this whole book, is just asking yourself that. And I thought it was just a really great way to apply self-love to your life. So, in conclusion, next time you feel like you're hanging off a cliff by your fingers, you should choose to love yourself like it'll save you, because one day it might. Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravkan shows us that it is possible to love ourselves even when we feel like we can't and like we feel like we are worthless. Through the process of using the mental loop, meditation, letting go of the past, and applying these things to our lives, we too can love ourselves. And the last thing I want to say is that if you ever felt like you can't love yourself, that you're not worthy of love, I really would suggest reading this book. I couldn't really put a whole lot in here that I really wanted to, and there was so many good concepts of it, like hundreds. And he had a personal journal in there that was amazing to read. It was a really good book, and I really learned a lot from it, and I would 10 out of 10 recommend this book. And there were so many good concepts, but like I said, I just put in what I thought would be best, and overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a great book, so thank you.